Hello and welcome back to Firestorm Games, and you're joining us as we take a look at some more of the new releases for the Tzeentch Arcanites, and this is of course the Lord of Change. Now we've seen this miniature rendered in metal, resin, and finally we're actually getting to see it in plastic. Now this is a dual kit, and if I just flip this over on the back, you can see the two options we can make. We can make the standard Lord of Change, but we can also make the named character Karos Fateweaver. Now on the back here we have some examples of the painted miniatures and some of the details and options picked out as well, along with the standard miniature painting guides as well. So let's open this box up and take a look at the contents inside. First things first, let's look into the instruction manual. This gives you a guide on how to assemble both the Lord of Change and also Karos Fateweaver as well. Now if I just flick through here, you can see it's all full colour, all of the actual components are individually numbered as well, and those numbers correspond to their options on the sprue, so you can know exactly which piece should be used for each step. Now one of the things you'll also notice is some of these sections are also coloured in green. Now these are basically different options you can choose from, different poses, things like that, and you can flip through here, shows you how to assemble the Lord of Change, and then moving on to the Karos Fateweaver himself. If I just flick to the back page here, you can also see we get a more in-depth painting guide on how each of the areas of the miniature have been painted, both the Lord of Change and also Karos Fateweaver as well. So that's the instructions looked at. Let's move on to the sprues themselves. This kit comes with two sprues, and this is the first one. Now this features mainly the actual wings and a lot of the weapon options that we get in this set. So the wings themselves are really nicely detailed. You can see we've got all the feathers picked out individually, as well as some of the actual you can just about see the scuffs and folds in the feathers where there's like a gap between the actual individual strands there. And these wings are quite similar to Magnus's, but they are different enough to be unique in their own way, and not just a copy of something we've already seen. Now this also comes with a few different head options for the Lord of Change. We actually get 3 different head options, and these are all detailed here. If I just flip these over, you can probably see them better there. So 3 different head options as well, giving you some nice choices, and if you want to field multiple Lords of Changes, then you can have some nice variations both in the heads, the weapons, but also the posability as well. Now in terms of the weapon options, we have the Rod of Sorcery here. We have one of the heads for the Staff of Tzeentch, and I think there's another one dotted about somewhere else. We actually have the main shaft there as well. Also there's a few arms and hands and other items dotted about also, and they're all very feature heavily avian features, as you would expect from this bird-like demon. One of the things I like to point out as well is this hand here. So on one side it looks fairly straightforward. If I just flip it over, you can see that we actually have the third eye that's detailed in the palm there, much like Magnus. We also have the finger, which is very much the same as those seen on pink and blue horrors as well. So nice details there and nice theming. So let's move on to the second sprue. Now this brings us to the second sprue, which actually features most of the main body parts that go into making the Greater Demon. Now across these body parts you'll see lots of the avian detailing. Again, we've got these feathers, we've got the beaked heads of these are the 2 heads that make up Karos Fateweaver. We've also got a few different options scattered about as well. We have these nice detailing such as the scroll. On the previous sprue there was also a dagger as well. On here we have the staff topper that goes into making the Staff of Tomorrow, which is Karos, and we also have the Baleful Sword as well. So we get a nice range of weapon options in this particular sprue. On here we also have a few small details such as these Brimstone Horrors that you can see just at the bottom there, and you can just adorn your base with those. Now as I mentioned on the actual instruction booklet, I did mention that the components are all numbered. You can see here each component has its own number, which will make assembling this miniature that much easier. So speaking of assembly, let's get this Lord of Change built. And here we have the completed Lord of Change. You can see I've actually assembled as Karos Fateweaver. Now even though this miniature is quite complex and quite large in its stature, assembling was quite easy. It did take a while to remove and get everything cleaned up in order to make a really nice miniature, but the numbers and the clear instructions really did help in speeding up this process. One of the other advantages of this kit was the fact that it's rendered in plastic, which means it's very easy to work with, and also means that you can achieve these quite thin and spindly sections without the miniature losing strength because of its weight. Aesthetically, this miniature really is beautiful. It's got lots of ornate and intricate detailing, which is very synonymous of Tzeentch. It also brings in some of the designs of the original Lord of Change and also the Forge World one as well, which kind of makes it fit in really nicely. So even if you are using those older variants, this will fit alongside quite nicely indeed. Another great point about this kit, which I've actually touched on in previous videos, is sometimes these larger kits don't quite have the posability or options that you would like. But this one actually does. It gives you a few different options on how to pose your Lord of Change, and also a few different weapon options to choose from as well, which really means you can field quite a few of these Lords of Change on the battlefield without having the exact same miniature more than once. Now, for all its positives, this miniature does have one flaw. I do find that miniatures like this sometimes are a little bit over detailed, and in some cases they're not quite robust enough to survive maybe being taken to and from tournaments without some dedicated battle foam or similar product. Some of the wings, for example, have very spindly, thin sections which could quite easily get snapped off in transit. But I do suppose that is one of the prices you must pay to have such an ornately detailed miniature such as the Lord of Change. So with the Lord of Change looked at, let's get an overall summary for this miniature. So that concludes our look at the Lord of Change, and overall, an excellent miniature that really complements the Demons of Chaos range. This miniature can be used for both Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k, which means if you collect a Thousand Suns army and also a Tzeentch Arcanite's forces, you can mix and match between those quite easily. Now, the RRP of the Lord of Change is £70, however it's available on the Firestorm Games web store for £59.50, which is enough of a saving to almost squeeze in an extra unit of flamers there. And I'll pop a link in the description below to take you directly to the Firestorm Games web store where you can pick one of these up for yourself. Now, if you enjoyed this unboxing, please do let us know in the comments below, as well as any other game systems or miniatures you would like to see us unbox in the future. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of our latest videos. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again on Firestorm Games.